Hey team, on today's episode of the podcast we have none other than Jesse Tyler Ferguson. Super excited to have this man on because of what he's done with his career, what he's currently doing, and of course he's actually involved in food.
I am, somewhat, yes.
He's going to be hosting the James Beard Awards, and of course he's also got his own food blog. So we cooked when I say we cooked a caramelized miso eggplant, and this is sure to be on there soon.
I gave you emotional support.
Yeah, straight up, the whole way. Oh, how do I introduce this one? Okay, we're going to start with name. Jesse Tyler Ferguson, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
We'll say actor. I'm going to say now adopted Australian.
Oh.
Yeah, I can have the power of doing that, I feel.
That came quickly and unexpectedly.
Yeah, just straight up, right? I told you I was going to surprise you.
I love that.
we do love you, I must say. I feel like I'm representing my country standing here right now, but yeah, we massive fans of what you do and what you stand for.
Thank you.
So
I've been to Australia 3 times and the love has always been very palpable, so yes.
Wow. Did you have any favourite locations?
Have you ever heard of this, there's a bridge there.
Did you walk it?
We actually did walk it,
awesome.
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Unreal. Yeah, because that was actually one of the episodes in Modern Family, wasn't it?
We all went to Australia, so that was one of the times I went.
Okay.
Which was a little bit chaotic, but
I'm sure.
People were very kind.
Well, we like to be, we feel like we're very, how do I call it? Embracive, eccentric, lovely, casual people. So,
yeah.
That's
you are, and you are.
Well, thank you very much, and it's an honour to have you here. And I was excited to have you here because, as I said, personal fan, but also you've got so many different layers to what you do and what you stand for. And I really want to talk about that. Obviously, we've got James Beard coming back for that, 2019, 2017, you did it.
Mm-hmm.
Huge fanfare on that, which is awesome.
Were you there that week?
I wasn't, I know.
Did you watch it streaming? I don't feel like anyone's actually doing that, but they say it streams live.
On what? I don't know.
This year it's on Twitter.
Okay, there you go. How did they actually do that? That's cool. There you go. All right, not Amazon next time for sure. So, mate, let's start off. I want to know how you got to where you are from habitual nature, from your behavioural style. Like, you grew up in, where did you grow up in?
Well, I was raised in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And I just said to you earlier, you're probably the first person I've ever met from that region, which is really cool.
Yeah.
There's not much going on there, really, isn't there?
It's more so now, but when I was there, certainly not.
Sure.
But yeah.
Unreal. And then you went from, did you go to school,
I went to school in a conservatory here in New York, the American Musical and Dramatic Academy. I just wanted to do musical theater.
Sure.
That's all I really cared about.
Okay, so now the fact that you're doing that and acting, which, by the way, we must pay a lot of respect for the fact that the shows that you do are phenomenal. Like, they really are. And how much of an involvement do you actually have in those shows?
The theater I do?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so much as the fact that I'm acting in them, but I don't really, I've never directed any theater. I've worked with directors that I trust immensely, so I kind of love putting myself into other people's hands. I love the rehearsal process. Obviously it's a very, the rehearsal process for any theater piece is very collaborative.
Yeah, definitely. And you see people on Instagram in theatre, and one of the coolest things to see them across social media is actually embracing their team and their family, which is obviously a big part of it. And so theatre was something you initially wanted to do. Did you always want to be an actor later on, or how did that kind of come to be?
When I was very young, I started doing theater and I loved it. I never imagined myself doing television. That really just is something that kind of fell into my lap. And it was something I had to learn because, when you're doing theater, it's just a whole different set of, you're not playing to cameras.
Yeah.
And it's I had to really learn how to sort of modify my skills. But yeah, it's been really exciting.
I imagine so. So from going from, I don't know, I think about, is theatre and acting actually quite a bit different from, is it to be able to do both, is it quite a skill in your regard?
I think that not everyone who does theater is going to be great on television and vice versa.
Yeah, cool.
So I try, and I'm happy that I've been able to work in both. I think that theater is something that's not for the weak of heart.
Yeah, cool.
I think, it's a really tough schedule, and, you have to, memorize huge chunks of dialogue, and, on television you can mess up and cut and start over again, and I think doing theater really keeps me sharp. And keeps my muscles, my acting muscles flexed.
So essentially, you're someone who can do theatre has really good memories. Like
you would think. It's getting less and less as I get older.
As you start having more of those good fats.
Yeah, exactly. Give me an avocado.
Yes. Do you love avocado?
I don't hate them. It's not my favorite thing in the world.
Okay, which would be?
My favorite thing in the world?
Yeah.
Like a prepared dish or just like an ingredient?
Actually, why not both?
I mean, a green chili chicken enchilada would be something that I would really kill.
I feel like I'm going to disappoint you.
Or just like a hamburger. Look, I'm looking at an eggplant and I'm not judging. I'm going with this.
It's
not a green chili chicken enchilada.
And it's not the emoji eggplant either. When he says he's looking at an eggplant, it's an actual
it's an actual eggplant.
Going back to things that aren't emoji related for now, we have you in Modern Family. Now, how did you think when you first got on this show? And when I say there's a number of things it got to before you even got on Modern Family, but when that kind of took place, did you think it would get to the 10th season?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone expected that. There were certainly moments after we won a few Emmy Awards. They're like, okay, we're going to be all right. We're going to, every actor I think assumes that the show is going to crumble around them because that's what we've been conditioned with. Because most shows do.
Yeah.
We're very fidgety people, actors. We're always looking for the next shoe to drop.
Right. And so all of a sudden comes along.
Yeah, for
Trying
sure. So the fact that it did stick around this long, I always knew that it was a special show, but that doesn't mean anything because so many factors have to come into play for a show like this to last as long as it does.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be well written, obviously, and then it has to be well directed and well cast. But then, the critics need to like it and it has to have good ratings, and then, you need an audience. And fortunately, all those things came together for us.
Yeah, 100%. When it comes to you and a role, whether it be this one or something else, do you find yourself becoming that person outside of work?
Well, I mean, Mitchell Pritchett on Modern Family is very close to who I am already, so I don't feel like I do a lot of work to, become him.
Do you find essentially when it comes to shoot day, you just rock up on set and just be you?
Basically, I mean, there was a moment at the beginning where I was sort of figuring out the colors of him, but now I've been doing it 10 years. It's sort of second nature.
Yeah, but that's brilliant. The fact that you play a role that, most of the time is essentially you, it just means you're perfect for that, that situation as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. You are the only reason why Mitchell is fantastic, because it's you.
It's me. So when people say that he's stereotypical, it's a huge insult.
Just listen here, just make sure people realize that. Okay, and so with that in mind, when it comes to new roles that you play, if it's not, I guess if it's not close to you, is it harder for you to actually accept the role, or is it something?
No, I love looking for stuff that stretches me and it's out of my comfort zone. I mean, when I do theater, I try and look for those roles that are very different than what I've been playing for the past 10 years because that's my opportunity to do something new.
Okay, what's a role that you've played that you think that would be complete contrast to what people would assume you would play?
Well, I played a part of a 14-year-old kid in a spelling bee who has Asperger's.
So you don't think you do well in a spelling bee?
Oh, I'm a terrible speller.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But his name was Leaf Coney Bear, and he made his own clothes, and he was like a hippie kid that was, had like 15 brothers and sisters, and
and just completely.
So I think that's pretty different than who I am, if you ask me.
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have one brother and one sister.
Wow, okay. It's 15 to 3 individual siblings. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. 15?
Yeah.
Imagine making bread and toast for that in the morning. Actually, how many hand-me-downs would you get?
Yeah, exactly. Well, this kid was that's why he made his own clothes, because he was sick of the hand-me-downs.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's usually your initiative. I tell you what, I'm the middle of 3 boys, and I'd get the hand-me-downs, and then my younger brother would get the fresh new stuff. And so it'd just be like, piggy in the middle. And these two would gang up on me all the time. So 15, I couldn't imagine. Is that segmented? So the first 5, the middle 5, and the last 5 are all separately different,
I probably, yeah.
Right. Well, we'll leave that to the playwriters for sure. And so for you now, you're in a stage where you're using your profile, and I'd love to say this, for a phenomenal reason. And there's a lot of things you're passionate about.
Right.
And it completely is seen in everything that you do and whatnot. And so we'll talk about, Tyler a little bit later.
Right.
But with what Modern Family has done, it has kind of like been at the forefront for standing up for a lot of current issues and as such. Do you feel really proud about that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when I started Modern Family, we didn't have... the oven's heated.
It talks. We're on.
It is.
This is live, guys.
Now we're
Told
live.
you. This is
the oven's ready. 400, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's taking notes.
Yeah, I'm taking notes.
I'll give you this one for free as well.
I'm going to make this at home without any instruction. I'm very good with memory, as we talked about.
Because you had good fats.
But when Modern Family started, we didn't have marriage equality. We had it in like maybe 6 states. I can't remember the exact number. But I love that Mitch and Cam sort of became this pop culture touchstone.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people felt like, oh, I don't know any gay couples, but then they turn on the TV, they're like, well, I know Mitch and Cam, and I love them, and why should they not get married? So I think it was a great sort of talking point for marriage equality, and Modern Family lives in the world that we all live in. So when marriage equality became legal in California, Mitch and Cam got married, and so there were interesting parallels because that same summer I got married as well in real life. So. I had basically 2 weddings.
2 weddings.
Did you? 1 year.
Which one was first?
My real one.
Okay,
was first.
So therefore you use your real one as almost like a guinea pig, and then you're able to tell the producers how the best way to do things.
Well, they couldn't afford that one.
Oh, that's great. That's what actually. Yeah. So when you're planning, who planned it? You both planned it together.
We planned it together. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, and what have you thought of this for a long time? And
I never grew up dreaming that I would get married. Sure. My husband is 10 years younger than me, so he definitely saw that as something that he wanted. He also worked very closely with the fight against Proposition 8, which is the proposition that kept marriage from being legal in California. He worked for the non-for-profit that funded the lawsuit against Prop 8. So he was very connected to the fight for marriage equality, so much so that when my writers were thinking about putting this storyline of Mitch and Cam getting married, and they called Justin, like, do you think that this is going to come through? Like, do you think that they'll actually legalize it in California? Like, they basically used him as a consultant to figure out if they can go forward with this storyline, which is kind of funny.
Well, that's a good +1 to have.
Yeah.
He sounds like I'm always a really good handbag.
Yeah.
When we go out to places, I'm not going to call him a handbag because I feel like you guys are a complete item and couple.
Right. I'm probably the handbag to him.
You reckon? Yeah. Yeah, self-appointed.
A really fancy handbag.
Yeah, like we're talking.
Albeit.
What do you reckon? Gucci?
At least, yeah.
At least. Straight up. Oh, I'm learning all these things as we go, for sure. Okay, and with that in mind, like, do you continue to, when you are acting, is that the back of your mind, that the amount of impact you're having on people with the role you're playing?
No, I don't. I would never do that to myself because then it just feels too big and too large and too important. And like, I certainly also don't want to pat myself on the back as I'm going along.
No, of course not.
But there have been moments on the show where I was like, oh, this is really cool. This is on television. Also, I think there's room to grow. I think what we're doing is great, but I think that the next show needs to take it a step further. Like, shows like Will and Grace open the door for us, and hopefully we're opening the door for other people to do more.
Definitely. For you, when you look at, I guess, opportunities you're taking now, is that, I think it's within people naturally to be like, I'm not going to take on a role as a result of me doing something. It's just going to be who I am. Mm-hmm. And so, do you find that with what you do naturally now, people are just inspired because of the way that you just naturally created or been a part of a role that is you, but also stands for so much? Like, every role you now take, do you feel like not pressure but realization for what you're doing?
Well, I don't think every role is going to have the weight that Mitch has. I think that there are things that I do, like I've done Shakespeare in the Park here in New York a few summers in a row.
That's awesome.
And the clown in The Tempest isn't going to have any sort of weight.
Probably not.
But I don't want to carry that around every role. I think that's what I love about being an actor is there's such a broad spectrum of things I can do.
Yeah.
And so I certainly appreciate how important Mitch and Cam have been for the past 10 years, and I'm excited to see what I can do next.
Do you have an idea of what that will be?
I mean, I would love to totally switch gears and go back to my roots and my first passion and do a big musical on Broadway. That would be an ideal thing.
Real.
Totally different medium, totally different. I feel like a lot of people kind of forget that that's what I love doing.
Of course, and that's something as well. I guess when you play such an awesome role that's been so huge and popularized, and at the same time inspirational. You don't want to be pigeonholed as to the one thing, but at the same time, you're so respective of what that has created for you and for other people. And so, going forward, it's kind of sad to see it's going into its final season, 11th season.
Yeah, 11th and final,
11th season.
Yeah.
11th season. Did you do one a year?
Basically, I mean, I've been working on this for 11 years.
Wow, that's more than a decade of
I know. Think about how, well, you didn't have the same school system that we have here in the States, but like from first grade to like 11th grade just seemed like a lifetime.
That's an entire schooling process for us almost.
Yeah.
Because we had kindergarten, year 1, all up to year 12.
Right.
So that's, wow.
And when you're a kid, it feels like, oh my God, this is never going to end.
Right.
And then you're an adult and like these years have just like
some of the young actresses and actors, if they would have actually grown up within the show, that's huge for them.
Yeah.
But so for you now, your next role, do you feel like you have more of a say in what your next role would be?
I certainly have more freedom to choose what I want to do. When I started acting, I had to take a lot of work because I needed the paycheck.
Definitely.
And so now I can take things that maybe don't pay me as much money, but the role is really great because I can afford it, which is a huge blessing.
Yeah.
And I can also like hold out for the things that I really want to do.
And have you ever done, you can say, you don't have to say this, has there been a role that you've done or you've been offered and you just completely are offended or just did not want to do it and completely...
I've never been offended by a role, but there have been things that I've done that I didn't really feel passionate about. Sure. And that was certainly earlier on in my career.
Okay, so you start to learn where your boundaries are and your core values and stuff like that. What was the biggest... we're just going to get a few quick points away. What's the biggest, shining light moment you've had in your career so far?
Well, I did a show on Broadway where it was a one-man show on Broadway. I played 40 different characters.
Okay, now we're talking like 40 avocados a day, man. That's incredible. Like how?
And actually, it's a really cool play. It's called Fully Committed, and it's about a reservationist at a very fancy restaurant.
Okay.
And he plays. I play the reservationist, and I play all the people calling into the restaurant trying to get a reservation. And I also played the chef and the maitre d', and I played women and women and girls and older women and men and old men and children. I mean, like. An array of different characters, and it was all done just with the magic of theater.
Well,
no costume changes, just dialects.
And how long were you in front of the mirror practicing that script for?
I mean, I've worked on that show for about a year, and I did it for 4 months on Broadway. Yeah, so that was a pretty cool thing to do.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
What's it like being able to call yourself out in every single character of the actual playbill afterwards, though?
That's exactly.
Do you do like 50 of those things?
Bows. Yeah. Those things where you bend.
Yeah, bend over. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I gotta work on my lingo.
I mean, it was, when you're working with other actors, you certainly have to it's a collaborative process, working just with yourself. You're not collaborating with anyone other than your director. So I had full say on what all these characters were going to do, which was really cool, but also a lot of work and terrifying.
I can imagine, man. There's definitely a lot of highs and a lot of lows when it comes to being in the industry you're part of, because you just, one day you can get a role, the next day it changes, and all of a sudden you got to be, So I have a lot of respect in the industry you're part of, and obviously you've done tremendously well out of it. We're going to take a break here from one of our sponsors, but when we get back, we're going to start talking about you and food.
Yeah.
My man.
Dan's removed his jumper.
Oh, jumper. Did you like that? I always say butter. What else do I say? What else? We've got basil. We say tomato. Mm-hmm. There's a few ones. Anything that just make you giggle when you... Did you try...
Do you say kitchen roll?
Kitchen roll.
Instead of paper towels?
Oh, yeah, I say paper towel.
Okay. That's
Kitchen roll.
That's more of a British one.
What about yogurt?
Yogurt?
Yogurt? Yeah. Did you try Vegemite when you were in Australia?
I've tried it, yeah.
What do you think?
It's not my favorite thing, I'll be honest.
That's fair.
But I think it could grow on me.
Okay, what about avocado? Okay, avocado is the thing. Sourdough, really nice crusted. I should have got you this today. This is what I should have done for you. I should have done an avocado and Vegemite on a sourdough toast. Oh.
I feel like I can handle that at home though. I can do that.
You can do that at home.
Yeah.
As you can do everything that I create and your dishes as well, which we'll talk about now. You actually have your own food blog.
I do.
Yeah.
It sort of came out of I hate calling myself a food blogger, but I guess I guess I am sort of a food blogger.
You can call yourself. I think there's a number of different things you can call yourself, Jason, before you get to food blogger.
Yeah.
So I think food blogger almost humanitizes you a little bit.
Okay, good.
So that's fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
So how did this come about?
Well, I love cooking, and when I moved to California, I had more space to cook in because you just get more for your money out there.
No kidding.
Yeah.
You're no longer working off one stovetop.
Yeah, we're literally in a basement. Yeah. And this is a great kitchen for a basement.
Thank you, man.
So I became more ambitious in the kitchen, and I met my friend Julie, who is she went to culinary school and she's a recipe developer, and she and I met at a dinner party, and we ended up becoming very good friends, and I was talking to her about like how if I hadn't gone, if I hadn't pursued acting, I think I would have gone to culinary school. And she offered to come over and cook with me and sort of, teach me some things. And we just started making things together and posting them on Instagram. And then people wanted the recipes for them. So we sort of created this blog to sort of house the recipes. And it's sort of developed into this thing. I think we've been working together for 2.5, 3 years. And, there's certainly recipes on it that I'm like, oh, that was one of the early ones. But, as I'm sure you feel the same way. But, like, there's some stuff on it that I'm really proud of. And we're sort of figuring out what our thing is, and it's been really fun. It's been a fun side project.
That's awesome. Like, that's the thing. Food is so beautiful in a way. It's universal in everything that we do.
Yeah.
And to call it a side project is pretty epic, because it's so natural in our everyday life to eat, but to actually be passionate about creation of it is because you're creative at heart, like, right?
Yeah.
Essentially what you do. So am I. Being a chef, it's what we do. So that must be a nice outlet for you whenever you're feeling just like, I just need to cook. Do you get like that?
Absolutely. I mean, I find it very meditative.
Yeah.
I find it it's a great way to like wind down. My husband does not do anything in the kitchen.
Fantastic.
Not even the dishes. Not a big deal.
This is a massive hint. Your brownie points are going down.
But yeah, it's really been something I've enjoyed, and it's something I'm also still learning, which is fun to like always, stretch yourself. And
yeah, definitely.
I find it to be very very exciting.
So have you, is that something that was, when you were young in your family, and when you're still young, younger, I should say, when you were not 21?
Not that young, but yes, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, my mom obviously cooked for us, but I don't think she would say that she was, a super visionary in the kitchen. I mean, she made really good food, and we lived in New Mexico, and so she worked with green chilies a lot, which I've, still have such a fondness for. But yeah, I mean, it was more, I wouldn't call it basic, but it was, a little more middle of the road.
Elevated casual food for the family.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So did you then start were you like the one at the edge of the bench, like looking up at
kinda. I mean, I definitely helped her with like the holiday cookies.
Yeah, perfect.
But I've also made in my early days, some really terrible things.
Oh yeah, we call them speed bumps. Yeah. They just have to happen. You got to get over them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, like for me, that kind of dish was actually my first experience of cookies not made by my parents. We actually call them biscuits in Australia.
Uh-huh.
Cookies just sound so much more delectable in some states though. My little brother, he made these cookies out of pretty much flour and then put choc chips on top. No sweetener in the actual flour. Yeah, it was. It was the funniest thing watching my dad chew into them and be like, And he's not the emotional guy anyway. So he's not emotional at all. And so him to actually express one, emotion, and two, to be putting on this fake smile of enjoyment. I asked my little brother, what was in that batter? And he said, I had flour and this and this. I'm like, okay, next time I'm going to add sugar or something like that to mine, So thank you for being the test bunny. But we all have those. I think that's what helps us get to where we are. Like today's dish, which I'm pretty excited for, because it was like one of the reasons why it turned my life around with eggplant.
Okay.
I used to hate eggplant. I really did. I love my mum. I love it to death. And unfortunately, she put eggplant in a dish in a way that just didn't appeal to me when I was younger. And so now that I have the ability to actually play with it this way, we're going to do a caramelized miso eggplant.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's super easy to do. Very common. Actually, a lot of like Nobu and those Japanese restaurants, they do this, and it's something we can all do at home. So I'll get started that in a second, but I want to hear more about some of your younger food memories. So when did you start picking up a knife and getting into that? Was that, how old were you?
I mean, it was I would definitely make some meals for my family, but it was, I'd boil some water, put some dry pasta in, and heat up some sauce. I mean, it wasn't really, but I was providing for my family in a way. Like I would say, I'm going to take care of dinner tonight. But it wasn't until I was in my early 20s and on my own, that I kind of had to provide for myself. And but even at that time, the internet wasn't widely, there's much more available to us now with the internet. And now I collect cookbooks, and so I'm always pulling books off the shelf and like trying new things. But probably my 30s is when I became really ambitious about it.
Yeah, cool. Did you find, do you use Instagram a lot when it comes to food?
I do now, yeah. I mean, I follow a lot of food bloggers and chefs. I follow you.
Did you hear that, guys?
You hear that?
Did you hear that? That's a big deal.
That's a big plug. So yeah, there's just so much available, and it's so easy to, you can basically Google three ingredients, and there's a world of recipes out there with those 3 ingredients.
It's so beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
And did you always have like a moment with your family growing up, at the table? Was it once a night, a week that you all had to come together and things like that?
Yeah, there wasn't any sort of structure around our dinners. I mean, it was, I think a lot of families have the same problem. It's, especially when kids become interested in things and they have their hobbies, it's very hard to get everyone at the table together. But we probably ate together more often than we didn't.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think that's what I found, is the one thing that is, no matter what, we didn't exactly have you have to be home at this time, but the beautiful thing is once we were home and eating together, it was such an enjoyable experience. And that's what, I have such a remarkable respect for food for, because you can have all these differences. Like your brother can be 3 years older than you can be an adolescent, you can all hate each other. When it comes to food, you're all sitting at the table and enjoying it, even asking the conversations a little deeper.
Right.
And so it's really cool, hearing what you're saying right now, it shows that everyone is so relatable. Whether you're, on ABC once a week for 11 years, or if you're, just killing it as a personal trainer, everyone has that same commonality of food.
Right.
Which is really cool.
Although a personal trainer probably has a different relationship with food than I do.
Yeah,
I imagine.
Yeah, I used to be one.
Did you? You used to be a personal trainer?
I was a strength conditioning coach and had a PT business. And so I had to be the one. It was so funny. Flavor is the number one thing for me.
Yeah.
So I had to dictate that all the time to people. It's not healthy if it's not tasty.
Right.
Whereas most PTs are they break it down. And this is a generalization, so I understand if anyone's listening that you can, say, Dan, you're not wrong.
I can't wait for you to get louder.
But essentially they break it down into... They compartmentalize food, and it shouldn't be like that.
Right.
It shouldn't be broken down into a way that something we look at it as a math problem, where you actually have to think about your food and you should enjoy it. Mm-hmm. And so there's a reason why there are the things we have available to us. We should enjoy everything in moderation. That's truly my philosophy. But when we start to think about the stress of eating and what to eat, it takes away the enjoyment of what food is actually meant to be doing for us, which is providing us that life, that serotonin and embracive happy feel.
Yeah.
So, and all you PTs out there, make sure you're still embracing life when it comes to dictating what to what your clients to have. Do you have any bad experiences when it comes to PTs and dictating food?
No, they've been. I'm working with someone here in New York, and on Instagram I follow him, and he's an eater.
Yeah,
which I love. It makes me feel,
nice.
He also still looks great, so I'm like,
what a dick.
A lot of it's just genetics, let's be honest.
I'll debate that a little bit. Of course, a lot of it is, but for people who work out more and a lot and lift a lot of heavy weight, they've got a bigger engine to fuel.
Right.
I don't like using the word fuel though. Oh god, food is not a fuel source. Okay, I'm glad I vented for a second.
Fighting with yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, you had 40 or 50 different roles before. I've definitely got 2 or 3 of my own self every day. What are some of the best things on your blog? So by the way, where can people find
it's
that?
It's julianjessecook.com.
Unreal.
It's a very sexy name. It's sort of very straightforward.
It's kind of reminds me though, when I was looking at it, it's like, Julie and Julie. Julie and Julia, I believe it's called. That amazing movie after
Julie and Julia, yeah.
Great movie. After Julia Childs, obviously.
Yeah, that's exactly what we were thinking.
100%. Yeah, I could tell.
There's great stuff on there. We have this ground turkey dish that's got a lot of coconut aminos, and it's ground turkey and garlic and ginger, and we fried Brussels sprouts, turn them into chips and top it with that. It's got some spice in it. It's one of my favorite dishes. I make it over cauliflower rice for my husband because he wants to stay paleo.
Yeah, nice.
But it's talk about bold flavors. I mean, that's one of my favorite dishes.
That's awesome.
We have a great carne asada on our blog that I'm always making.
That's a great batch meal as well.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's sounds like you know a bit about health and food and stuff. Is that something that you want to learn all the time?
Yeah, I mean, I try and eat healthy. If I'm cooking at home, I'm probably trying to cook, without too many carbs. And I don't think carbs are bad, but Justin, my husband, likes to sort of be carb less.
Sure.
We find that we feel best when we don't eat a lot of carbs and a lot of dairy, but if we're going out, we're definitely eating those things.
What's it like on set then? Do you have a mad writer? Please tell me you have like some sick yeah, do you?
A mad rider? Like things I need?
Yeah.
No. But no.
Oh, come on. It's not like, don't you?
No, I really don't.
Okay.
We have a great craft service team, so their craft service is basically what we call the kitchen area of the set, and it's dangerous to walk in there because they're not necessarily cooking the healthiest food, but it's always really delicious.
Fantastic.
So,
that's a win.
Yeah, and they provide breakfast, lunch, and if we're working late, dinner for us. So
this just in, guys. I reckon on the final season of Modern Family, you're going to find Jesse working the line at the breakfast or lunch. Just saying, it could be an episode. I'm just putting it out there.
Maybe.
So guys, coming back to the actual recipe, and Jesse, this is what we've done. So we've created miso and a little bit of natural maple syrup in here. So you get that umami, the natural sweetness, a little bit of acidity with the lemon juice, and then we just cut this awesome, beautiful eggplant in half, skin side up, and I'm just going to go to town on drizzling all this saucy nature on top. And so this is going to create like a nice glaze. Japanese eggplants do really well with this. Like they're the really small, thin looking guys, and they soak up this natural flavour, but a big eggplant also works. So I'm just going to douse it all over. And so we're going to put this in the oven, add a little pinch of salt, and this will like caramelize to a nice consistency after about 40-45 minutes at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, guys. So that's a really simple one. Perfect side dish. If you are vegan, it is also a win too. So let's finish off this round, my man. I just want to hear what is like the most coolest thing in relation to food that you've seen, whether in this city, restaurant, where you've traveled to. Like what is some amazing food memory you've had?
Oh gosh, it's been so great living in California and New York, and be able to go back between those cities, because there's such great food in both of those cities, and we love traveling to other countries and like finding top restaurants there. I mean, we've had some really amazing food experiences in Istanbul. We've had amazing experiences in Australia.
Yeah. Do you have kangaroo?
I did not have kangaroo.
I'm gonna add that to the list.
Really?
Yeah, it's like it is super lean, but it's oh so tasty.
Uh-huh.
It's really good for you.
Okay.
Really good for you. Your husband would love it.
Okay. All right. I might have to like not tell him what it is first.
A kangaroo carne asada is like awesome.
Really?
Yeah, it's so good because it's just like it's kind of you get a little crispier because it loses the fat quicker, so you get like that rounded, nice, deeper caramelization and Maillard reaction.
Right.
And then you get the beautiful infusion, and it holds on to flavor so well.
Are you even able to purchase kangaroo here?
Look, actually no, there is a place. You can also get it online. I don't know, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but there is a way. You know what? I'm going to find a way of getting you kangaroo, and and then you're going to cook your carne asada, and I'm going to get some feedback from you.
All right, okay. All right, we'll see. Yes. I'm trying to think if there's been like any. When I hosted the James Beard Awards a few years ago, we were able to get a table at Alinea, which was a really fun experience and just very theatrical.
Yeah, awesome.
But it literally took me hosting the James Beard Awards for me to get into that restaurant.
So you're hosting the James Beard Awards in about a week's time, on May 6th.
Right. I mean, when this airs, I think I would have already done it.
Yeah.
But,
so what's the plan? Where are you going to go? Can you go Alinea twice, or you have something else?
I think we're going to try something new.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Nice.
Yeah. Well, there's so much great food in Chicago.
It's deep dish pizza. Thoughts?
Yeah. I prefer a New York thin crust.
Sure. But
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, let's hear from one of our sponsors, my man. We'll hear more about you and James Beard when we get back.
Yeah.
My man, so you're, in my world, the James Beard Awards are like the Oscars.
They are the Oscars for the culinary world, yeah.
So when you got asked a second time to host, what was that like?
I mean, it's a huge honor. I when I did this 2 years ago, I was very nervous, mostly because I just respect everyone in that room so much.
Of course.
And I did feel like a little bit of an outsider. I mean, yes, I love to cook, but like I am not on the level that these people are. And so I wanted to make them feel, first of all, like I knew what I was talking about. I knew what they did. I respected what they did. And I also just wanted to give them a really fun night. So I just, I worked really hard on what I was going to do for them. And there was a lot of costumes involved and a lot of jokes. And, I went out to the audience and I did some things. And it was a really fun time, but I worked really hard on it. So when I was asked to do it again, I kind of like had to step back and think, okay, like I'm not just going to show up and wing it. I'm going to work hard again, and it's a lot of work. So I took a brief moment to sort of think about whether I wanted to do this to myself again.
Sure.
But it's so much fun, and I had a blast just with the whole weekend being in Chicago and socializing with these chefs that I admire so much. It's a fun weekend. So
do you actually so you got the hosting gig, and there's obviously a lot of PR and prep you have to do leading up to it.
Yeah.
And you hang out with the chefs whilst doing that?
Yeah.
Okay. Do they make you breakfast or anything like that?
Well, no.
It's not part of it. Didn't come in the detail.
No, I go to a lot of their restaurants in Chicago.
Great. That's awesome.
Yeah, but
it's interesting though. It's like you're hosting, and people think, oh, they turn up on the night and they host. As you said, there's a lot of planning preparation that go into it, out of respect.
Right.
And so, what was something that can we get any insight into what you may be considering doing on this one?
Well, since this will have, I think this is airing after
it definitely will.
There's no spoiler alerts. So this year I'm doing I'm starting off the ceremony by sort of letting go of what I did 2 years ago to take the pressure off myself.
Fantastic.
And I don't know if you know who Marie Kondo is, but she has a show on Netflix where she basically had people purge things that they don't need anymore.
Of course, yes.
So you're meant to hold these things that your belongings and ask yourself if they spark joy for you. And if they don't, you're meant to thank these things and then give them away.
So you have all these people there.
So I have all these things that I did 2 years ago, the script that I wrote, the costumes I wore, and I'm thanking them and letting them go so that we can all start fresh.
Oh, that's great.
I have a few jokes that might get some groans in the audience.
Wow, nice. I always wondered how this was planned. This is great.
I mean, we just look for fun things. I mean, I'm doing a whole piece about salt, fat, acid, heat.
Fantastic.
Basically giving away consolation prizes of salt, fat, acid, heat, but not the cookbook, the actual salt, fat, acid, and heat. So just giving people, kosher salt and pink Himalayan and avocados and Crisco.
And just in their own elements.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Hopefully people will find the lighthearted humor that I'm trying to bring.
I'm sure they will, and especially in that room with the way you've been able to relate everything to them, it's fantastic. And being a foodie or a food blogger, as you love to be called, you're part of that. You're part of that. You never know, your blog could get an award one day.
It could. There are people who do it so much better than I do.
So let's talk about. I've got a few quick fire questions, my man.
Yeah.
Your morning routine.
Mm-hmm.
I always love hearing from any walk of life what it is that gets them up in the day to get them going. What would that be?
Well, I'll tell you like a morning routine from when I'm working, from when I'm shooting Modern Family.
Fantastic.
Because it starts so early. Usually I have to be on set by 6:30, so my alarm goes off at 5 in the morning. If I'm feeling ambitious, my alarm will go off at 4 in the morning, and I will go to a Barry's Boot Camp workout class at 5 in the morning. That ends at 6, then I'll drive to work and get to work by 6:30. And usually if that's the case, I usually can't eat beforehand. I'll have some coffee to sort of get me out of bed.
Yeah.
I'll probably have to take my dogs out and let them go back into the bedroom, and Justin will feed them when he wakes up.
Love your work, Justin.
Yep. But I hop in the car and I usually listen to a podcast called The Daily or Up First, sort of get the news of the day in a very consolidated way. I don't like watching the news too much, so it's great. I can spend 20 minutes with that on the car ride in.
That's awesome.
And then I usually wait until after I get to work and I try to eat a healthy breakfast, and then I'm in the makeup chair at 6:30.
How long are you in the makeup chair for?
I mean, for me, it's
10 minutes?
20 minutes with hair and makeup.
Yeah.
Sofia Vergara, she, and all the women in the show, they just, there's more to do, so it takes them like, an hour and a half. So sometimes usually if I go to work, they're already there. They've been there since 6, sometimes even 5:30.
So this is a thing that even Maddie, our producer now, is just shaking her head because we do not give enough respect to the fact that girls genuinely have to, due to the way the expectation is, a lot more effort into getting out of bed in the morning.
Right.
So for guys, we always talk about this, the ability just to change a shirt and be in a new outfit. And these girls spend $100 on anyway. I
mean, there's only one thing you could do with my hair, and there's a million things you could do with like Sophia and Julie's. So
you're killing it. You're doing it well.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is your morning routine. Now, if I always talk about one of my favorite questions actually is, if you were a food, like a fruit, meal, an ingredient, what would Jesse be and why?
Cardamom.
Wow, that is adult. That's a curveball. I'm excited to know why. This
right?
one. Why is this?
First of all, I like it.
Yeah, good. It's a good start.
I think it changes the dish in a very subtle and easy way. You don't have to add very much, and it's like you immediately taste it. And I feel like that's how I am when I walk into a room.
Just like natural presence.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. I love it.
Change the tone of a room.
But it's subtle though.
It's subtle.
That's oh so subtle.
And it's not overpowering, much like me. If used properly.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
You could turn it into a whole thing of like a bad squeezy bottle of lemon juice and just get change the game right there.
Yeah.
And you have also got this phenomenal charity, foundation.
Yeah, I call it a found charity.
Found charity. I like that. And I like it because I'm learning how to actually use one way to actually create money and opportunity for you guys is actually the bow tie.
Yes.
So it's called Tie the Knot.
It's called Tie the Knot. We developed it right before Justin and I got married, and we basically developed a bow tie line with the Tie Bar in Chicago. We sold bow ties, and all the proceeds went to people who were on the front lines fighting for marriage equality. So we would give money to HRC, we'd give money to the Trevor Project, we'd give money to all these different organizations that were doing really great work for the LGBTQ community. Now we have full federal marriage equality, but we sort of have to protect that now. So we're continuing to raise money to sort of make sure we still keep those rights that we fought so hard for.
That's unreal. Do you feel the need to obviously always wear a bow tie then?
At first it was like every time I left the house, it's like people were wondering why aren't you wearing a bow tie? So I really tied myself into a look with that. But I certainly wear them a lot. I wear them to award shows, and I'll be wearing one for the James Beard Awards.
Nice. Do we have a distinctive color that we know?
I think it's just going to be black, but we actually created a bow tie for the James Beards.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we know? Is this like an actual branded James Beard kind of?
It doesn't say James Beard on it, but it's our official James Beard Award bow tie.
That's
so
fantastic.
You can buy it on tiethenot.org or the tiebar.com/JTF.
Fantastic. And that's like that. Even though this is going to be after the show, people can still rate. It's $25, isn't it?
$25, and $20 of that $25 goes to our organization, and we give it to other people.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, unreal. I mean, full disclosure, when Jesse actually walked in, I said, I apologize, I'm not wearing a bow tie. And he did the eye roll of going, oh. Like, oh, great joke, Aussie dude.
No, I did not. I was not offended by any means.
No, it's great, man. I'm actually going to be wearing a bow tie for the first time, I think, ever. Maybe second time. I don't recall it tomorrow night at City Harvest, but I'll be sure to help support Tie the Knot for sure, my man.
Yeah.
So you've got an amazing, I guess, brand in who you are, and it's layered into so many different things that you do. You're fighting continuously just by who you are in general for some amazing causes, and I think that's what's brilliant. It's not like you don't even have to push so much. It's who you are is naturally what you represent, and I think that's an awesome thing that we can all be inspired by. I've loved One Family, but I've loved you for what you've done, and it's really cool to see you in food and like how that's actually been a part of your life. Yeah. So I relate to Jesse Tyler Ferguson in some way. That's really cool. I can tell my mum that. She'll be pretty proud. But what's is there anything else we can see coming forward that we can be aware of now that's could get the scoop on?
We're just I'm going to do a play this summer up in Williamstown, Massachusetts. You don't have to come. It's fine. It's far away. But I'm doing another season of Modern Family, our 11th and final season.
Of course.
And that's what's kind of that's the big thing that I'm looking forward to. It's going to be a very emotional last year for us.
What do? Do you have like a mad end of year? Like it's kind of like a graduation, right?
Yeah, I mean it's
It really is.
Truly, it's I've known this group of people for a very long time, and we've been through a very unique ride together. Sure. So it's going to be a hard thing to say goodbye to.
Yeah, of course. Well, my man, it's hard to say goodbye to you now, but I just want to say it's been a pleasure. I'll continue to follow your journey, and I'm looking forward to James Beard Awards and seeing the hilarious results of everyone's responses to your jokes too.
Hopefully they'll like it. Yeah.
Jesse Tyler Ferguson, thanks so much for being here on the show. Let's bring out the eggplant and get your actual response on my tastiness.